I'd like to call to order the San Lorenzo Valley Water District Board meeting at 5:30 here on June 4th, 2026. And Jen, if you would take roll.
Sure. President Rest.
Here.
Director Largay, not here. Director Foltz.
Here.
Director Smalley.
Yes, here.
And Vice President Lang is not here. She already let us know she's not going to be here today.
Very good.
We've got a quorum.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see. I guess we are going to, let's see. Well, I guess, are there any changes to the closed session agenda?
No change.
Okay. And no oral communications, no one online?
There's somebody online, but they don't have it.
No hand up. Okay. Very good. Then I guess let's go ahead and adjourn for the closed session. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back in a little bit.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You're unmuted.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'd like to call to order the board meeting for the San Lorenzo Valley Water District, June 4th, here at 6:30 p.m. Jen, would you please take roll?
Sure. President Rest.
Here.
Director Largay.
Yes.
Director Foltz.
Here.
Director Smalley.
Here.
Okay. And Vice President Lang is absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right. All right, so back in session, there's no reportable actions from the closed session that we just finished. And any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Okay. Any oral communications from anyone out there?
Nobody online.
No one. Okay.
No one.
Okay. Then I guess we move straight into the presentations for the quarterly reports. That's great. All right, who's first up?
I am. Are we gonna have those up or?
Bring it up right now.
Okay, great. Oh, it's karaoke.
Right. I'm a little nervous now. I'm gonna speak quieter.
Right.
Okay, so this is our quarterly finance report for the first quarter of 2026. This slide shows our cash balances as of 3/31. We have approximately 15.7 million. Out of that, approximately 13.3 is operating cash and 2.4 is restricted cash. And then we have our normal 10.5 in reserves. The next slide is our budget to actual revenue. It again is through March 31st. Our operating revenue, water usage fees and basic charges continue to make up the majority. And we were at approximately 5.1 million for our water usage, and basic charges were 4.1.
And just to be clear, the budget is for all 12 months?
Correct.
Okay, so it's not been prorated for 9 months.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
The next slide is our expenses as of 3/31. Shows that we're pretty much on track with being recorded the way through the fiscal year. The next slide is about our rate assistance program. The program has a capacity of 100. We have 138 customers enrolled. 67 of those renewed from last year, and we have no one on the waiting list at this
So half the people didn't renew.
time. Yeah, maybe circumstances changed or they moved.
Wow.
So then we get into the fun stuff. This is just a reminder of the COP final pricing schedule. On April 15th, we distributed our preliminary official statement to investors. Then we had the marketing of the bond, the preliminary pricing call, and then the final pricing call was on April 22nd, and we closed financing on May 7th.
Kudos. Nice job,
With
you and Jason and staff, because I'm sure they were talking to lots of folks.
It was a really good experience. So this slide shows our initial order period results. We received total orders of approximately 59.6 million. The average subscription was 3.8 times, meaning the investor demand was higher than the amount of bonds available. So the level of demand is important because it gave the financing team room to improve the pricing before finalizing, and you'll see that in the next slide. So our final pricing based on the subscription levels, the team was able to lower yield for 2 of the term maturities. So for the 2046 maturity, it was lowered by 4 basis points, and the 2049 maturity was lowered by 3 basis points. So those changes reduced borrowing costs while still maintaining the structure needed to fund the project. And so this table shows the final coupon yield spread and an MMD comparison by maturity.
And about what is the magnitude dollar-wise of those reduction in basis points? About.
Well, I can't.
$1,000?
I really
$2 million.
can't say.
Can you, maybe the 2 slides ahead, would that be total debt service versus?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the total debt service looks like it went down by $1 million
Correct,
based
based
on
on our estimate.
estimates.
Okay.
But I had another question in that.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to wait on that question? Okay.
On this slide, what's MMD?
It is a highly technical investment term
Okay.
that I would have to Google.
But it's an interest rate. It's something to do with the effective interest rate, I guess. Okay. Thanks.
So then this one just kind of shows some comparable examples. And it looks like, we were right on track with other agencies. The next slide also does the same, just to give you a little bit more of the examples. And then the final slide is the numerical results. So this is our final pricing. It shows what we presented at the 319 board meeting, and then what we estimated at our pre-pricing call on the 21st, and then what we ended up with on our final pricing call. So our final issuance amount was 15.6 million. And the true interest cost improved from 4.66% to 4.42%. And the total debt service decreased from approximately 31.2 million to 30.3 million.
Is the difference between the true interest and the all-in true, is that the cost, the money that we had to pay the underwriters and stuff, or do you know what?
Yes,
Okay. Do you know what that cost ended up being?
I don't off the top of my head, but I can get that for you.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I remember thinking it was around 450. I just wasn't sure what did it actually come in at. Just to compare it to what they had promised. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I did, could you explain the net issue premium difference? Just in case. Between 799 and 1.26 million. Is that something we paid to people, or is that, because that's a significant change?
So this is the additional yield that the investors receive for purchasing the bond issuance. So that is basically the cost of issuing.
Because funds to us,
Yeah, I think it's the premium that investors paid to buy the coupon that
to buy the
that
bonds.
we were, yeah.
and so how much are we actually netting out of all this?
So we're getting the 16.5 million.
Okay, not less any, I mean, we're gonna get the full amount, not less any fees or anything like that.
Correct.
Although their fees of 400 or whatever don't come out of the 16.5, that's on top.
Because in the past, that had come out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that comes out of our general fund. That's the cost of doing the business.
Oh, I see. Oh,
Really?
oh.
Hmm.
So we
Okay.
we net 16.5, but then we directly, so they don't take funds out of the net proceeds, because it's all managed by, I forget that, the organization, the state organization that handles the net transfers, right?
Yeah.
That collects the premiums from all the special districts.
Bob, could I suggest something?
Yeah.
Could we do a little bit of a deeper dive into this at the next meeting? Just to make sure we understand what cash we're getting and where the costs were and that sort of thing.
I can have Ken come back. He's gonna be the one that's gonna
Even
be
better.
able to dive deep into this.
Even better, yeah.
That'd be
Let's
great.
do that.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
sure.
that's.
And he can
that's a good
take you
idea.
through the technical MMD and all the rest of it.
Exactly, yeah, that's certainly not my area of expertise.
It stands for municipal market data, and I don't know what that means.
Right, looks like it's a benchmark of some sort.
Okay. All right. Anyway, I
would
greatly
like that.
appreciate,
That would be great.
yeah, greatly appreciate the extra detail that you put here, and having a follow-up meeting would be great.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I do have one other question. You list the fire surcharge reserve at almost 1.9 million on this slide. Is that slated for the Peavine pipeline project that's upcoming? Or is the majority of that slated for that
$2
project?
million is slated out of the fire surcharge
For
for Peavine.
for Peavine, okay. And Peavine is a likely FEMA reimbursable project. If we get this back from FEMA, or 90% of it, or 75% of it, whatever it is, does that money then go back into this restricted reserve?
Yes,
Okay. So that should then be spent on other, if there are other fire surcharge projects, such as if we do more than the Peavine or something else like that we still haven't completed. Okay. So it's still restricted.
it is
Restricted funds. Okay. Good. That's the only question I had.
Bob?
Yeah, I have a number of things. First of all, thank you for putting this together. This is good. Possibly maybe a month earlier in the future.
Okay.
I mean, I'm used to getting quarterly reports a little bit back.
I know that they're waiting for certain data to come in before they put it together.
What early as possible. I believe the Lompico Assessment District ends this year in terms of the assessment, the $600, whatever it is, assessment that they're getting. There's money in that. Now, one of the things that we haven't done based on the promises that we made to Lompico when the acquisition happened is replacing their service lines, which were known to be failure points. And our previous management said, we're not going to worry about it. But, I really like if we can maybe fulfill promises as much as possible, if we have money available to go out and do the replacement of the service line, as many as we can. And the reason for that is, the reason I didn't like this, we'll replace it when they break, is that if you take a random distribution, 2/3 of the time they'll break in off hours where we pay a premium to fix it or have to deal with it. And if we know things are not really of good quality, we should avoid doing that. Do you happen to know when the Olympia assessment ends?
I don't, I can find out though.
Okay, I'm guessing it's about another 10 years, but I'm just curious. That money is, as I'll comment here a little bit later, I don't count that in the calculation of the margin that we need to get to. I take that out. But I left everything else in. And if I just do a 0.75 division of everything, we're at 6.4 million. So we have only 100,000 more to go to get to that 6.5. I'm really focused on that because that's the key number that is in your model for how we move forward. It's very important we hit numbers. And I was really concerned about the fact that we're at 66% on water usage fees for 75%, and we're going into the dry period.
So I actually looked at that because it did concern me as well.
Yeah.
And so it looks like there are a lot of payments in June that we get. So maybe there are some late payments or a payment plan, and then they true up at the end of the year.
Okay.
So I do have that information.
Okay. So when we get the next quarter report in a month and a half or 2 months, we should see that. That does bring me though to one of the things that I haven't seen information on is our accounts payable. I am concerned about the fact that we don't seem to be getting the money out of the teeter process that we were promised when we started the process of not doing water turnoff. I still don't want to do water turnoffs, but I'm wondering if there's something we can do to address that accounts payable issue to actually get money. I don't know that anybody's dived into that as much as we need to, but if we have $500,000 of accounts payable, which I think was the last number I saw, that's significant. So I don't know if this goes to finance committee or what, but I don't want us to lose sight of the fact that it hasn't been included in the monthly reports or quarterly reports here for a while.
Yeah.
And really,
That's my fault. I'm not used to doing that. And so it was something that just completely slipped my mind, but it's going to be on the next quarter.
and just from a numbers point of view, if you could add a percent column on the budget to actual, that would be very helpful. That way I don't have to calculate it myself. Come up with that. I also was curious about the sale of new meters. We've had that many new connections?
I've signed a few meter sets in my.
Yeah.
Well, those are mostly the Ben Lomond replacement meters, aren't they?
Well, no, this is sale. This is money.
Yeah.
Not cost. This is money in 50,000 more than we budgeted.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it's, but it's still interesting that it's that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should encourage as many long line connections as possible. No joke. Okay, then all the other numbers look to be in line with where they should be at this point, 75%, or in the case of taxes, 50%, since this doesn't include the April
Right.
payments,
Yeah.
right? So,
And I was looking
In
at
case
that
in
also and
anybody-
thought, oh,
yeah,
no, April 15th payments didn't come in yet.
right,
So
exactly.
we don't have that.
And, one question I had about, we call this investment in Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency. When I see the word investment, I immediately say, okay, what's the return?
Yeah.
Because if we're going to use investment as opposed to subsidy, which is really what I think it is, I would like to know what that investment's buying us. Because right now, I don't see it's buying us anything. And in fact, if anything, we were stymied in implementing a good portion of the initial Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency recommendations on shared use by Santa Cruz blocking our mitigated negative declaration on our water rights. So what are we getting? Are we going to have a Santa Margarita agenda item anytime soon?
Well, we can
Because I
certainly have it.
requested it about a month and a half or 2 months ago
So noted.
in a meeting.
But to a point that you made to me a couple meetings ago, did you do that in an email formally, or was it verbally here?
I did it here and in an email,
Oh, okay,
and I sent the email twice.
okay, all right. So. Okay.
No, we definitely
Why not?
should give an update,
Yep.
since Jason and Brian and I are
Right.
attend
Yeah.
that, those board meetings quarterly.
Yeah.
Give you an update and,
Okay.
yeah.
And then as part of Ken's coming back, he could also bring the papers, the final documents.
Oh, sure.
Everything's filled in and
Yeah, I mean, all the signed.
everything's signed and we're all good to go and all that. That'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, great, thanks.
Brian, do you have any,
I do not. I really appreciate the material. My only request was the column for percentage to budget actual. Just a silly formatting thing, but which would make things helpful. I think that the slideshow presentation in the packet's very helpful. One unintended consequence of that is that the text isn't searchable. It looks like it's images of the text instead of like searchable text. And insofar as it's feasible to have text recognition done to the packet, I do that to the packet when text is not searchable for my own use, but for the web archives and to make sure this stuff shows up when people look for it. That might be nice to do if we have the software for it. I don't know if that's something we have the software for.
yeah, I like that idea.
But the information's great. Thank you.
I mean, Brian, in general, I think what you're saying is everything in the agenda to the maximum extent possible should be searchable.
Yes, right. By running like a text recognition routine
Yeah.
in Adobe Acrobat or something like that.
Right.
Hopefully we have the software for that. If we don't, I think we should
Should
get
get it.
the software for
Yeah.
that.
Agreed.
Agreed. Anything else?
Nope.
No, okay, great. Mark, you?
No, I had my questions already.
All right, I think we're all good. Any public, hands up?
Don't believe so.
There is no public.
Right.
No public,
Wow.
okay,
That's got to be a first.
wow.
We're just boring.
I don't know what to think of that, right? We're just, yeah, boring, nothing, means everything's good.
Mark must be on vacation.
I'll tell you later.
Okay, okay, all right,
Three.
let's see. We don't have, do we have to accept these or?
No.
No, just it's informational.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. All right, so then we're moving on to unfinished business.
Whoa.
No.
No, we have more.
And
for
time left. We have more.
Oh,
We don't want to deprive
change
our
everybody
staff.
else. I'm sorry,
Now we know where Bob's priorities lie.
money,
Right.
so sorry. Yeah, we got everybody still up to bat here. So you're on deck and now in the batters.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, so I'm just here to provide the environmental quarterly report. You can go to the next slide, please. We'll start off by talking about some of our grants. If you can zoom in on that a little, Scott, it's a little small. But our first grant is the Water Smart Meter Replacement Grant. So we started that in late February and completed the meter replacement in early May. So that was awesome. The next grant is our Urban Community Drought Relief Grant, which is our tank replacement grant. And we completed environmental permitting for all the tanks. I'll let Garrett talk a little bit more about the construction phase on his quarterly report. The next grant is our CAL FIRE Fire Prevention Grant. We were awarded that $902,000 in February 2026, and the phase work will start in June 2026, not May. And it will include hazard tree removal, shaded fuel break along a portion of the pipeline, and defensible space around critical water infrastructure. We can go to the next slide. Oh, you're already there. Actually, let's go. The next grant is our 2022 Fire Prevention Grant. This has been closed out and was used to create the defensible space around our infrastructure. The next grant is our Pump House Hardening Grant. We were awarded $305,000 to harden 9 pump house structures. We received bids on roof replacements, but we're now pursuing completion of those in-house. And Garrett may have something more to say about that in his report. And next slide, please. The next big topic that I wanted to touch on is conjunctive use. We were kind of held up on this for a while as we were trying to pursue how to integrate Loch Lomond water into this. But essentially, we've made the decision to move forward with this project without Loch Lomond water included. And so we've started the process of reaching out to consultants and trying to come up with scopes of work for the 3 pieces that will compose kind of the process of conjunctive use. And so the first one is the water availability assessment. The second is the conjunctive use plan. And the third is the CEQA documentation. We completed all of these for the previous effort. And so we're hoping to just take the previous ones and kind of alter or add time to the data and then complete the assessment again. As we have a number of years of operating under a very similar kind of scheme as this would be. And so, yeah, we're working on scopes with consultants and trying to move this project forward.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
you're working on proposals from consultants?
Yes,
Okay,
it's a somewhat tricky and
understand.
yeah.
Whenever you have something completed on the proposals, could you bring that to the board? I'd like to see what those are, since I spent a lot of time 3.5 or 4 years ago looking at where we were ostensibly headed for conjunctive use at that point. So,
Yeah.
okay.
What's your timeframe, I think, Chris, for trying to come up with these RFPs?
Well, we have a scope from our conjunctive use plan consultant, and we should have a scope within the next week or 2 from the consultant who prepared the WAA last time.
Right.
So I'm hoping to bring those to the board once I have them. Yeah.
Okay. And are those something that are of dollar magnitude that above 30,000?
The WA, I think it would probably be slightly above it, but
Okay, well then, if it's above it, then we need to, we should.
yeah, it'll be coming regardless.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, next slide. Another project that's going on related to the $902,000 grant I was talking about. This is just a little more detail on the project that will actually be implemented. So you can see the blue line up there is the phase where there will be both hazard tree mitigation and a shaded fuel break implemented, and the CCC are implementing that work. The red line below it is just hazard tree removal that the CCC will be doing. And then the orange access roads are access roads that will be treated also as a shaded fuel break, but we'll be hiring a contractor to do that work. And then what we didn't include was the clearing around our infrastructure sites, which will be, you know, kind of all over the district. Next slide, please. Okay, P-Line is the next project. So environmental review for the pipeline replacement is nearly complete. We have a notice of exemption for CEQA prepared, and we're just going through the final kind of accessibility bits to make sure that the document fits all of the requirements. The notice of exemption will also come with a memo, which includes avoidance and minimization measures and an environmental analysis kind of looking at all of the categories that a EIR would look at, but just very briefly touching on all of them and saying kind of what we did to look into them. And the next step before we can kind of get the project started is we have to send our jurisdictional delineation to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This essentially tells us which waterways are waters of the U.S. and which waterways are not. And if it is a water of the U.S., there's a lot of permitting that will be involved if we had to disturb the creek. We are not planning to disturb any creeks, but we just need to get kind of agreement from the U.S. Army Corps that where we think waters of the U.S. are, that they are in fact waters of the U.S. and that they agree that we're not going to impact them. So we'll just be waiting on basically approval from the Army Corps before we can move forward. And this is a specific requirement called out in our FEMA document. And so it's something that we need to complete to get FEMA reimbursement after the project.
And I assume that we are not doing work near US waters, but is that not true?
It's
Well, so Waters of the US has at one point in time been expanded to include everything, including seasonal creeks.
Yes.
However, the definition is navigable waters
Right.
and things that might connect to it, like wetlands and that sort of thing. It's insanity that we have to go through this process.
But we might rail against but if this is the requirement,
No, I get it, but I mean, this is all part of our overregulation of society.
but if this is what we, do we have to get the final answer from Army Corps before we start the project or before we get close to the creeks? Because if this is before we start the project, this isn't going to happen this fiscal year, simply.
Yeah.
Maybe not this calendar year.
Yeah, and that's a question that we posed to Cal OES, kind of as FEMA, as a stand-in of FEMA, and they couldn't really give us an answer, but it's in our FEMA document, so our safe bet is to wait for their approval so that we make sure that we get our FEMA
Next year.
My recommendation, go get another opinion from an informed environmental consultant that we're used to dealing with. Get them to weigh in on this also. And is it a risk management decision for us then? Do we move now? Because there's so many parts of this that are nowhere near a creek, that are nowhere near the source of water,
Right.
that we could do 90% of the line without that. So that's my recommendation.
But you know, there's always somebody out there that's going to say, hey, you're operating above a creek, and if you do things that may have that. I'm looking forward to showing ships going up.
My recommendation is still talk to one of our knowledgeable environmental consultant managers. Get a take from them on.
It would be a shame if this is the thing that really delays us months or even into next year.
Or even until next year.
Yeah.
When did we know about this?
Well, it was kind of pointed out in our process, but we haven't necessarily, we just finished the environmental review, so
Yeah, but if this is a long lead time, it should have been submitted a long time ago.
the studies happen when they happen. Yeah,
Is this the one that Denise Duffy provided services on?
no, this was Panorama.
Okay. Did they delineate wetlands?
Yeah, I think they dubbed it out to,
But they produced a delineation report.
yes,
And that has a map with creeks and wetlands around those, presumably maybe some springs, maybe some seeps,
right,
wetlands around those. On the same map, there would presumably be sections of pipeline alignment without any wetlands delineated by the consultant.
right,
And so the process here is to send the consultant's map to the Corps, have the Corps concur.
Yeah.
And that's the green light that it's been accepted.
exactly.
So I guess the risk has to do with, did the consultant miss something that the Corps might assert is under their jurisdiction?
Yeah, and the consultant as well as us feels that there's very little risk that they, delineated incorrectly or poorly. But it's more so just we need to check the box of getting this concurrence.
Oh, the FEMA requirement is the receipt
Exactly.
of the concurrence.
Yeah.
I see.
And so we were trying to figure out whether we could proceed before we got that concurrence. And Cal OES, who is essentially FEMA, or responds for FEMA because they aren't really talking to applicants, couldn't give us great guidance, but their kind of recommendation was just wait till you get concurrence if you want to be safe.
I see. Could you seek clarification from FEMA directly?
We could try. I don't know. Jen deals with them a lot, and I don't know.
FEMA's not responding at all right now.
Right.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Okay. It's unfortunate. I mean, customarily, the purpose of the delineation is to, and the permits associated with it is the discharge of fill to the waters of the US.
Right.
And vegetation management, which is what is proposed, it doesn't really involve discharge of material of fill to creeks.
Right. Right. Yes.
So I could see FEMA potentially giving a waiver, but if they're non-responsive, then they're non-responsive.
What do you think of the risk of trying to get 90% of it done? Do you think that we really, just from your experience?
I don't know enough about FEMA.
Right.
Like I would not have a problem falling trees, hazard trees on a road,
We're not even
aiming
doing
them away
that.
from
Yeah, that's
creeks.
already been done.
Yeah, that's already been done.
We did that with
It's
all
year.
clear.
Oh,
For
it's
this
ready.
part.
Yeah.
What's
this-
the action?
This is building the pipeline.
Just putting
Well,
the pipe in.
Oh,
And building, but
but that's
building-
gonna move dirt.
No, it's above ground.
Well,
Well,
supposedly it
support,
doesn't
right.
move any dirt.
It's.
Yeah,
little
but
bit.
the supports are going into the ground.
Let me make the
we're
following.
just augering holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If stuff's going into the ground, then that
Let me
could be construed
let
as
me
a
make the
discharge of
following
material.
suggestion. Because I
It's
think
worse than
we're-
clearing
we're-
vegetation.
We're conjecturing on how Garrett and staff plan to install this.
Yeah.
And Bob has heard at some of the engineering meetings on the plan. Jason, Garrett, if you get to the point of being ready, everything from that last engineering committee meeting is ready to go, except for this environmental aspect clearance from US Army Corps. Bring it back to the board with, here's everything that we have, including the pricing. Here's our plan. Here's when we're ready to go. With this further risk evaluation that I'm asking for, that I think you're asking Brian for an assessment of. And bring it to the board then with, okay, we're ready. Here's what else we've heard on whether we potentially might want to go ahead with this now versus waiting for full delineation determination from Army Corps. And then we could have a more informed discussion about go or no go at that point.
I like that.
But to discuss further now without involving Garrett and Jason into it, because we don't, yeah. The rest of it isn't necessarily ready yet.
And it sounds like may just be a few weeks away from having the rest of your pieces, I guess.
Don't know. But again, I don't want to go too far off of the topic of this, go discuss the details of that tonight. Let's, when you're ready, bring the rest of this back to see if we want to go.
And what is the approximate amount of the FEMA portion for Peavine? Do you happen to know that off the bat?
90%, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. How many dollars?
It's combined with several other projects.
Well, that's why I was asking about
Yeah.
what,
I don't know
for-
the breakdown.
for
off the top of my
Peavine?
head.
yeah.
Garrett's projecting a 2 million or $2.1 million total cost. If FEMA's at 90% on this, because they were at 75 for a while, but if they're at 90, 1.8 million, rough number.
But combined with the other projects, because we didn't sort of divide things up well.
Yeah, correct. But that's the potential reimbursable amount on this part of the project.
Well, and that, yeah, so I had forgotten about the 2 million kind of number, but the reason I'm asking is if, for instance, when we have this later board meeting and do a risk assessment and we say, go ahead.
Mhm.
If we don't do that portion, are we actually giving up all of the FEMA grant, or is it just
No.
for that particular section?
No,
Well,
You sure about that?
well, who
All
knows?
under the same project number,
Right.
so.
I mean, it's like
Are they
who
checking
knows?
the box? Did you get US Army Corps for this one, this piece, this piece, this piece? Oh, you're missing that piece, so.
yeah, well, that's, to me, that's part of the risk.
Okay, so we would need to really understand. It's one, maybe we're putting 1.8 million, or maybe we're putting 6.5 million at risk. And so, yeah,
But,
we would need to know.
and that's for payment in 2029 anyway.
Right.
Or 2030, somewhere around there.
But it's all part of the pay-go, right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
money we would like to have.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we haven't spent.
Right.
Yeah. It's part of that.
I mean, the bigger meta issue is we just seem to over and over again run into things that are like, oh, we didn't,
Mhm.
it's sort of like,
I
it's
know.
like, really?
Mhm.
I mean,
Yes.
so I think there is a bigger issue around project management and identifying the long or potentially long lead time things, which is anytime you submit anything to a governmental organization at the federal or state level,
Yes,
not good.
I concur with.
Yeah.
What Bob is saying about that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it looks like we're not gonna take any action on this at this meeting, and sending
some
it
more
back for.
slides.
Oh, yeah, he's got more slides.
Right.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
sorry.
Because
Okay.
he's not asking for any action
No.
on any of this tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, my next slide is the Sandhills Habitat Conservation Plan. So we received an in-progress draft in December 2025. We submitted our conservation program to the US Fish and Wildlife Service in February 2026. Essentially, this conservation program describes how we are going to implement our mitigation, as well as the ropes and homes mitigation, and essentially how those are going to be tied together and how they're going to be delineated on the landscape within Olympia. Approval of this conservation approach is necessary to complete sections 6 through 8. Essentially, we don't want to go ahead and complete these sections because they rely on the conservation approach. And so if Fish and Wildlife comes back and says that our approach is not tenable, we can't move forward with it, then we would need to adjust the conservation approach, and those resulting 6 through 8 would then be greatly altered. So usually the US Fish and Wildlife Service has a set timeline, but there have been a lot of layoffs and additional layers of review added. According to the person that we met with from the Fish and Wildlife Service, it goes all the way up to the deputy secretary of the agency. now. So essentially, they've added complexity and they've reduced staffing. So it's been an extended timeline. We've reached out to our contact that we submitted this to multiple times, and according to our understanding, she has not looked at it yet.
Right.
So we essentially are waiting on the Fish and Wildlife Service. Once we receive approval on the conservation program, we go ahead and complete sections 6 through 8, which I would say would take a month, and then we submit it for formal review. I'll pause there.
I'll make a general comment, I think echoing or reinforcing some of the issues that we just raised, which is we now have $16.5 million. And so being on top of possible critical path issues, and it does seem like the state and federal regulatory folks are really going to be a potential fly in the ointment for us trying to keep our many projects on track. And so, yeah, so, so that's just to say that we really need to try to identify these as soon as we possibly can and try to get it off, I guess. Brian, do you have any thoughts in general on the topic?
I do not. No.
Okay, thank you. Mark, any other thoughts?
No. Well, you know what I'm going to say. This is completely unacceptable. This was supposed to be done in December of 2019. We are now on our 7th year of a 1-year project. And what is also unacceptable is every time we get a review of this or the consultant comes here, we say they're doing a great job. And so from a consultant point of view, it's like, oh, well, they're happy with the fact that this is going to take a decade to do. And so we basically just say, thank you, sir. May I have another? It has never been identified prior to today that number 5 required Fish and Wildlife approval before going on to the rest. Never. And it took a year to get to this point because in July of 2025, the consultant came here and said she would be ready with something by the end of the year. Didn't mention that this was a gating item. Does she know what she's doing? Do we need to have additional help here to move this along? A different consultant or add a consultant to get this going? This is one of the most strategic items this board has had on its plate since 2019. And it seems like it'll get done sometime in 2030. And we're okay with it.
Well, I don't think we are. It's very frustrating.
Well,
I completely
but the
agree.
board hasn't done anything to say this is why we're not okay with it.
So, with that, do you have any recommendation, moving forward? Either on this or similar?
You know, the problem is we rely on staff to actually know what the process is when things move through.
Mhm.
The only recommendation I'd have is there's somebody out there that can get somebody's attention faster. Right? Because or find somebody that's got an in with Fish and Wildlife that can move this up to priority. We wouldn't be having this problem if this was submitted 3 or 4 years ago.
I think that if it had been submitted 3 or 4 years ago, it would still be a long process through Fish and Wildlife.
Maybe it would,
To the point of potentially.
but they've had staff reduction.
I understand that.
That's the excuse now.
Let me finish, Bob. To the point of it may have taken 6 months to a year before. Right now, though, we can't even get an answer as to how long. So yes, the current administration that we have in Washington is further stymieing this process. So I don't think that we are are gonna do much about that.
Are
with this
we,
one.
are we as a district and staff doing everything possible to move this along, other than relying on a consultant who clearly doesn't know what she's talking about because she didn't identify this before?
Well, it sounds like the recommendation.
I disagree that they, being staff and consultant, didn't know about this part of the review. I don't think it had been formally presented to the board that way to then say,
The
we don't know how long it's gonna take.
consultant's job and staff job
Mhm.
is to present to the board and slash the greater community reasonable expectations on what it's going to take to
Yeah.
do something. That is their job. And by the way, if last July she'd come and said, hey, Fish and Wildlife is all screwed up, it's going to take 2 years to get through them, the expectation that she gave us was nothing like that. It was going to be done in 6 months and ready for submittal, the whole package, not an interim, the whole thing.
But Bob, they did submit in 6 months. Or they submitted in February.
Wait, no. It was everything on the item, not just this interim thing. It was all the way through, including alternative. I went back and looked at it.
We could continue to debate this or continue to discuss this tonight, but is it gonna get us anywhere?
I would like to move, I would like to.
I think it's
we're all
great that
super
everybody
frustrated
wants
about-
to move on and not talk
No.
about what we should
No,
be
I think
doing.
we need to come up with
I
some
disagree.
recommendations.
I think we're done.
Okay, so we're not going to do anything. Nothing can be done. We just have to sit and wait. There's absolutely nothing. The consultant basically is going to give us what she wanted when she
I think the recommendation to Jason and staff is maybe try to, double time looking for maybe other environmental consultants who may have some insight into how do we get this moving forward.
because I keep hearing the same thing over and over again
We're,
for the last 7 years.
well,
Right, okay.
so
So I recommend that we move on to the next slide.
Could I just make one comment?
please.
I've been involved in a variety of HCPs. The normal timeline is 5 to 10 years.
That was never been.
So I don't know what information was provided to who, but I've never been through an HCP in less time than that. And that when people avoid HCPs like the plague because there's no timeline for the agency's responses, and it's a very disorganized process under prior structures of the federal agencies. So I'll just put that out there. And then with respect to this specific consultant, they're the world expert in this habitat, and the only people I know of who've done HCPs for these sandhills, and that's a difficult position to be in.
So I would say then what we have here is a massive failure on the part of the consultant to communicate that to us. Because I have the document, the original document that she provided us on schedule. And it basically had the full thing, everything, all sections ready for submittal. Now, again, the submittal is the key point. It may take 2-3 years to get the review done, and there may be interaction. But to get the entire document ready for submittal was 1 year. So if what you're telling me is that this world-renowned expert really does these in 5 to 10 years, we had a massive failure on her part, knowingly misleading us with how long this would actually take. This is amazing.
I guess I'll dispute that when it's on the agenda as a more structured item. But I think we're getting as good technical support as we can get.
All right, appreciate that. Okay. Any other director comments on this? Okay.
All right, I have more slides still. So next one is integrated pest management policy effectiveness testing. So we went ahead and out in Olympia, we built some 1 by 1 meter plots in 2 different kind of broom growing conditions. And we essentially tested the feasibility and effectiveness of implementing organic vegetation management practices. So our treatments consisted of no treatment, our control plot, hand pulling, hoeing, flaming, horticultural vinegar, final sand, and Miramichi green. And our data collection for this is time and cost to implement, monthly broom cover, and monthly other species cover. You can see some of the picture of flaming on the top right there, and then kind of the after of the flaming. We're starting to see that some of the basically all of the plots are starting to grow back. The bigger ones are growing back from the same plant, and then there's other stuff coming up. But yeah, we don't have any further results for you right now. We're kind of collecting our data, and then we'll analyze it from there. But flaming was very fun. And,
I bet.
I knew that was going to be the favorite one.
but another approach that we're also looking at is because flaming essentially only kills the very small seedlings. So another approach that we're looking at is weed whacking. It will only work for, again, the very, very small seedlings. But when they're coming up in these carpets where it's millions in this little area, it might be an effective way. So we went ahead and tested that out there as well, and we'll see what the returns are from it. Next slide, please. Olympia watershed more broadly. We installed a new property entrance sign on the bottom right there. The old one was looking very raggedy and also said no trespassing, whereas, it's open for public recreation. So we went ahead and Jason pulled out his design chops and made a nice design for that new sign over there.
Yeah.
We also added additional no trespassing and kind of similar signs telling people where they should be and where they shouldn't. Also, like, keep your dog on a leash, that kind of jam. And we installed trail cameras in off-limits areas to monitor our trespass. And yeah, we've been monitoring those. Also, the Lockhart Falls Street fuel break was completed by the RCD, and that runs along the ridge above Olympia. The RCD provided funding for follow-up broom removal crews and a invasive plant management plan. And so to go along with that, we had a crew out earlier this week to remove some of the broom. And there's another cohort of broom growing up. So we're fighting the good fight. Volunteer events out there. We had 6 events from August to April to remove French broom. We partnered with Semper Virens Fund to increase our volunteer base for that, which was awesome. They sent us a lot of really good volunteers. And we had 55 total volunteers over the events and removed more than 2,000 pounds of broom. So those are really cool. It was great to have the public out there and to get them engaged. We also provide them, cool facts about the property and about, the native fauna and flora. Next slide, please. Rain update. This year, we are at 40.04 inches. It's rained a little bit more since I made the slide, and that's about 87% of our annual average, which is pretty good. And last year we were at 81%. Last water year, we're at 81% of our annual average. Next slide, please. We have a partnership with the Earth Stewards at the Santa Cruz Museum of Natural History. They come out basically twice a year, bringing kids from schools where they might not have opportunities to get out and do kind of naturey things. And they help us remove broom, and we kind of provide them some environmental education. And there's a few other things on there that you can see that I won't cover. Next slide, please. Events. We held the State of the San Lorenzo River Symposium. That was held in Santa Cruz on April 11th. And I thought it was a pretty big success. And it's always great to get the public engaged and talk more about the river. We organized a staff tour where we showed some of the office staff, some of our sites, like our intakes, water treatment plant, tanks, pump stations. And yeah, I guess the last thing I'll close with is our Olympia volunteer events will start up again in fall. And we'll be rolling out a promo video that we did with a volunteer from this past one who's a Boy Scout. And so it'll kind of be a good thing to get the volunteers excited and back out there, hopefully. And that is my report.
Thank you, Chris. Any comments from directors? Bob?
Yeah, thanks for putting this together, Chris. On the meters, the meter replacement.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have been following any Facebook posts, but people are starting to notice that their bills are going up substantially, I think, when the meters are replaced. I think it would be great as part of this program of replacing meters to get out in front of that and make sure the community understands, based on whatever our calibration results are, that, you know, the meter gets replaced. We've been undercharging, basically. And when the meter gets replaced, you're going to get a more accurate reading. So I think there is going to be a lot of community pushback once this is, more known.
Yeah.
I'll also note that we just applied this week for another round of that meter grant that hopefully we'll get.
Right.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, over time, we should be doing about 500 meters or 350 to 400 meters a year, at least. Just, you know, they get replaced every 20 years, divide by 8,000 and 400. On the fire prevention grant, so I had personal experience with one of those around the Highland tank. I don't know how much we got charged for that, but I can tell you the guys up there really, I mean, they'd work an hour and take a break for a couple hours, and then they'd work for an hour and take a break for a couple hours. And I think they left the material on site. I think we need to be a little bit more quantitative about what we expect out of this for them to do and whether or not we're getting good value for our money. I probably could have done what they did in about a 2-hour time period. So again, I don't know if that's the same at all sites. I just saw the Highland tank site. As part of the conjunctive use, do we not need to, in order to fully take advantage of it, I thought we needed to have an EIR done. Is that complete?
No, that will be the third step on there. So once we complete the WAA and the conjunctive use plan, then comes the CEQA documentation.
Okay, so as part of this overall understanding what the scope of these projects is and making sure that these things are feathering in at the project plan, that's something that should have been on here.
It is.
Because it's a
number 3.
Well, but it doesn't say EIR as a specific item.
It may not be an EIR.
Well, in order for us to get our water rights, which is all part of being able to ship water around from any source to any destination, we need that EIR.
You need CEQA documentation. Depending on what the outcome of the study is, it may not need to be an EIR. It could be a lower tier of CEQA documentation.
So one of the things that I asked for was a little bit more clarity on this, I think, at the last quarterly report. We had a big blow up with Santa Cruz over this.
When we got to the point 3.5 years ago of begrudgingly saying, fine, here's another, I don't know, X 100,000 or something, go do an EIR.
Yeah. And it was,
we made that decision then, and it's my understanding that hasn't been finalized.
Yeah, mine neither. And Santa Cruz basically threatened to sue us, if you read between the lines in their letter, if we didn't do an EIR. So what are we doing?
We have that consultant and we're ready to move forward. But basically these first 2 things define what the project is. You can't start the environmental review until you know the project.
Again, none of that was stated at any point in time before just now, at least not in a way I could understand it.
I disagree with that. They did put together a project description because I insisted that's the first thing that you need to do. It was section 3 of it, the project description. So we beat together a project description. But at that time, it did include Loch Lomond. So the project description now changes. Fine, we have new information. We'll change that before we finalize the EIR. But again, I'd like to see that brought back for further discussion.
So it's great that we're not doing Loch Lomond in there. I thought from the beginning that was a fool's errand. And without numbers from Santa Cruz, there was no reason
Right.
to even consider it.
Right.
So thank you for that. But it's really clear to me, Santa Cruz is not going to allow us to do anything other than a full EIR.
But we were already headed down that path 3 years ago. We were already headed down that path.
Well, in terms of in terms of something that has transparency for me at least,
Yes.
rather than saying CEQA documentation, which what the heck do I know?
Yeah.
I know what an EIR is,
Right.
and I know that we committed to do it.
Yes, we did.
So that should be on here explicitly.
If we decide not to do an EIR though, would you come back and say
We're
that?
not going to decide that.
But Chris, you need to bring that back to the board because 3 years ago, the board did say, based on staff recommendations, and I agree, you weren't here then, but based on staff recommendations, we had to do an EIR. So the board said, yes.
Have
proceed.
we had conversations with the head of the water department that we may not do an EIR? The
Okay.
Santa Cruz Water Department, we may not do an EIR?
We've had conversations in regard to the conjunctive use. We have not said anything about EIRs or SQL documentation.
Because they were very clear in their letter, if we didn't do an EIR, they were going to sue us.
So there's some, I don't know, debate maybe, or discussion, maybe what we should be doing going forward. So it sounds like bring this back as an agenda item at some point. Once you have more information, Chris, and we should be talking about this further, because none of the staff that are here were involved in this discussion 3 years ago. Bob and I were the only ones in the room now that were part of that discussion.
It is interesting too. I mean, Santa Cruz has different leadership at the city water.
Exactly.
And if we're not
Yeah.
contesting the Loch Lomond water the way we,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I disagree. Their concern was not Loch Lomond. Their concern was bypass flows at, I forget the name of it, but it's on the San Lorenzo River.
Right. And
And-
it was big trees that they were most concerned about.
And they wanted us to adopt their standard, meaning they controlled our water indirectly. So, this is a
Minimum
big
stream
issue.
flows.
And I disagree that the leadership's different. I mean, yeah, Rosemary Menard's not there anymore, but everybody else is the same.
So let's bring this up at another, to see where we should be headed, because we submitted an environmental impact statement as the prior version. That's what the city commented on. And it was vague enough in enough areas that I said, I can understand why they commented on it because we weren't specific enough.
But you're saying we actually then paid for an
We
EIR?
paid to have a consultant engage on an EIR. They spent 6-8 months just developing the project description, which is what they should have done. Project description was developed. We reviewed it at the board and we said, okay. But beyond that, I don't know what status is because it's been kind of
It's a black hole.
either put on hold, or so just bring that back then and let's talk about that further.
The real issue is that for whatever reason, our management and their management at the time were not able to sit down and say, okay, let's see if we can figure this out so we can avoid an EIR, but address your concerns.
Right. And if
They
there's,
would refuse to do that.
and if there's some way to reduce the scope that
Oh,
we
yeah.
currently have a contract for of this EIR and make it a simpler document, yay.
Yeah, go
based
for
on
it.
some discussions. But let's get that back, discuss it. Or a limited group of the board. If that's what you want to do.
Okay, thank you. I can go along with that. On the 5 mile hazard free, is this still showing Sweetwater being done? I thought we had maybe discussed holding off a bit on Sweetwater.
Well, this is I mean, this is 100% grant funded. We're gonna start on the side not at Sweetwater, so we would have time to, you know, have them not do it, but
I think we need to have an explicit conversation around the return on investment of reestablishing service at Sweetwater, which is 10% of our North System surface water.
I'll say this to caveat that unless there is an environmental benefit for a fire break out there in that to other portions of infrastructure, not Sweetwater itself, not that intake. I agree with Bob on that, on the ROI on establishing that leg of it. Even if we are getting money back on it, does it make sense to go spend somebody else's money for something that we're eventually going to get to the point of, the ROI on that section, on that leg of it just doesn't make sense anymore.
And by the way, giving up a pre-1914 water right may be a negotiating item somewhere else.
Exactly. If we think that it doesn't make sense to install X number of thousands of feet to get to this, to provide another, I'm pulling out numbers here, to get another 5% of our total, maybe surface water, or 3%. I don't know. We should be looking at those before we go ahead with significant other work.
Yeah,
including.
That's part of a quantitative approach as well as the
Exactly.
qualitative approach to a project and whether it makes sense to do.
And I understand it's funded by somebody else, but I still, shouldn't we be spending somebody else's money
No,
okay?
my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But again, that may be another agenda item to talk about. We already talked about Beavine and that, and trail cameras, good. Who reviews and what happens?
me, and essentially I just pull out pictures that are trespass or wildlife for fun.
Or you got some AI to help you get those frames?
I don't. We have a minimal. It's like a minimal review. It takes 30 minutes max to look through them once a month.
Is that something that an environmental manager who has so many other tasks on his plate needs to do, or can we delegate that to somebody else?
But,
He enjoys it.
Well, he might.
but what do you do with the information?
Yeah, and then what happens?
It just informs basically how much trespass we have out there. Which the land trust, we also have a person that comes out for a monthly visit just to check on trespass and any other issues on the property. It's just giving us more information.
To do what?
Exactly.
For management.
Manage what?
But
For instance, if a lot of people are trespassing at one particular trail, you can put up a sign there that says no trespassing, and maybe there's less
So
trespassing.
no prosecutions are expected.
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Seems. Have we taken any action to date based on your review of the footage?
Yes, we put up signs,
What signs have we put up?
no trespass.
Okay, additional no trespassing. What other things would we do beyond that now on the review of this?
There's one particular entrance where I would like to put some sort of like a log in front of it or something.
How about if we just go do that?
I
Now,
mean, we can.
Yes.
what I want to do here is get you away from the things that aren't advancing our environmental activities. You reviewing that tape doesn't make sense. Sorry. Okay, next.
Yeah, and I think we need to avoid micromanaging staff. I mean, this is something that Jason can spend time, okay? So,
When you put things on here that say we're going to do this trail cam, it immediately brings up questions of why, what for, and what are you going to do with it? Because it's staff time. Okay, on the rain update. So we do collect rainfall in the driest area of our valley, not up at our water sources. do these things get calibrated periodically? Are we sure that they're accurately measured? And I would like to bring the drought designation to a board agenda item. I've asked for it verbally and
agree.
twice
I
in
agree.
email over the last 2 months.
Mhm.
I understand that it's not an immediate thing, but at some point there's a reasonableness to my request. And so I would like to see that brought forward. And we can talk about whether or not, after 5 years of reasonable rainfall, we're still in a drought. Thank you.
Bob. Any other comments, Brian, on anything?
No, I appreciate the report. Thank you.
Mark, are you good?
I'm good with.
I'm good as well. Thank you very much, Chris. You're definitely in the hot seat there. All right. Any public? No hands up?
Nope.
Okay.
We do have one attending now.
Oh, wow. All right.
He's
Yeah,
back.
he's like,
Okay. All right.
No.
So now,
no, not moving on yet, Bob.
no, to another departmental. Yes, yeah, Garrett's gonna stand up just so that I recognize him. Okay.
We have 3 projects in construction. There's the Bracken Break Forest Springs Consolidation Phase 1. We're waiting for some parts so we could complete the Caltrans Bridge crossing. We have Highland Tank. And we have Echo Tank, Redwood Park, which is also known as Swim Tank, and the Spring Booster Pump Station. We're making progress. Hopefully all 3 tanks will be done this summer. Projects in design, fire hardening pump station. We put that out to bid, but we decided that we would like to self-perform the roof replacements. So in order to self-perform, we have to procure the material so that staff can install it. So we're working to get pricing from metal fabricators to get all the parts. We're also going to prepare engineering plans for a full replacement of the big steel pump station, which is at the Lyon Water Treatment Complex site. Currently, it's a wood building with a wood roof. San Lorenzo Way Bridge pipeline replacement. This is a county bridge replacement in Felton. And we're going to have some bid items in the competitive bidding that the district will pay for. And effectively, we'll have a new pipeline going across the bridge. District staff is installing the temporary water line that will facilitate the construction, which will save us some money. TZU Peavine, we are working on the engineering plans, some calculations, site-specific safety plan, multiple helicopter lift quotes, construction material quotes, and a staging area agreement. We got the engineering committee to recommend to bring the information to the board. So we're looking forward to bringing that to you and being authorized to spend some money to get the material. Line slide, we've completed the updated survey. We've completed the geotechnical design values. We are making the plans. Once we get to 60% on the plan, we can give that to environmental for permitting, and then we can finish off and go to competitive bidding by qualified contractors. The Haven housing development, there's actually a 6th routing of the plans at this point. They're not addressing our comments, but they continue to keep their planning permit alive by just resubmitting because they're under the builder's remedy little loophole that they are trying to get that development going. Harbin Street, we put
Can
that
I
up.
interrupt you just
Oh,
a
yeah.
second on the Haven housing development?
Yes.
Remind me how the process is supposed to work. If staff is actually spending time doing calculations and whatnot, are they supposed to have put down a deposit and we would be billing against that, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
so for the Haven, we have a contract that's been executed by the developer, but he has not paid the deposit. And we let him know that we will not be working on his project at all until he pays his deposit. He continues to have interaction with the county. The county routes that to different agencies, internal agencies at the county, and us being the water district, where 2 of the parcels are in our jurisdiction and 2 of the parcels are in our sphere of influence.
But are
It's
we
right.
doing any further work on it?
No.
Okay, that to me is the important portion.
Okay, but the meta issue still is the fact the entire parcel is not in our total service area.
Yeah.
So should we even be working on the parts of their design that are not completely in our service area? Or are we just, when we do work, are we just looking at those 2 parcels?
Well, to be clear, they have a consultant that's doing the hydraulic analysis, and they have consultants that are doing like the site plan and the layout and all that. It's as the water agency, we're supposed to review the hydraulic analysis and make sure we're in agreement with their consultants.
And LAFCO is one of the agencies that's reaching out to us.
Right. Yes.
So
Well, I mean, at some point we have to, I think, deal with the meta issue, which is, do we expand our service area to include the parcels that are only in our sphere of influence? And I think that's something that we as a board need to decide on relatively soon or not.
Why relatively soon?
Because otherwise, if they're designing something that's assuming we provide service to the entire area, which is what I think I'm hearing.
Yeah.
We don't have the ability to do that right now. So any review that we do is inherently hamstrung by the fact that we can't provide service until we expand our service area.
But presumably this hydraulic analysis that's being done by the other consultant would present what would need to be updated or.
We are, I mean, from a rough point of view.
Folks, if I could, these are interesting conversations, but what I find ourselves doing with this meeting is, because we're receiving quarterly reports on staff activities, which touch on virtually every aspect of our business, we are now having this odd circumstance of virtually any topic that we might consider on any future agenda for the foreseeable future being an open topic for discussion during this meeting.
Right.
And and I'm concerned that that's just not good process. This is interesting points that you're making, Bob, and should be noted for sure. But I just don't know how we're going to navigate this meeting, which is running pretty long already, and do appropriate justice to all of these.
But again, goes back to the fact that these are things that should have been brought to the board before for us to be able to act on. And the only time we hear about these things that we should be getting information on is when they cut these reports.
This was brought to the board many months ago, and the board said, if we don't have a deposit, we're not going to do any work, and that has been the case.
Right.
But it also is the case that we punted on the service area issue at the time. We are now getting deeper into this, and before we get further into it, we need to make a decision on the service area.
So
that can be an agenda item.
So I would propose, until the developer pays a fee, it doesn't need to come back to us. Yeah, there's nothing to discuss until the developer pays the fee. When the developer pays the fee, then bring it back to the board, because then he's showing that he's real and wants to move ahead at some point.
And do we all agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay.
So, yeah, you've heard that, Jason. Okay, good. Yeah. And it wasn't an insignificant amount we were requesting, so.
No, it was
15,000.
15,000. Yeah.
15,000, so, okay. So we'll wait on that.
That's chunk change in light of the project.
Well, then he
But
should have
hasn't-
paid it
but
a
he
long
hasn't paid
time.
it. But he hasn't paid it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I appreciate your comment, Brian, that we are, I think maybe we in general appreciate the much greater detail that's being presented. And unfortunately, now we're diving into the details, and it's not our intention to micromanage everything you do. That it's absolutely not our intention.
It does not create an incentive for staff to share detail. I'll just,
Here's the counter argument to that. We used to get reports once a month. And in that kind of a time period, you could actually see things and you wouldn't be commenting on things as much because you would be seeing things more frequently. Now that we only get them once a quarter, there's actually more questions that get generated because I don't have any idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so there's this trade-off here of if you're going to go to quarterly reports, you're going to have a longer review.
Right. So I think that, Jason, that's this item that we talk about here is something that we're obviously allocating. We're now at an hour and a half for future quarterlies on this. We just need to be aware of that. And maybe the rest of the agenda is later. So,
To save time, I can skip going over each project, and if you guys have questions about particular projects, I could address that.
okay. Yes, I like that approach.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So,
Okay, you had some specific questions.
When I see the word consolidation, I assume that there might be activity in that area. Is there any activity actually with consolidation? Or is it just the construction part?
The construction part.
Okay, great. Let's make that really clear in the future when we close it out.
Any other comments from directors on anything?
I have one on the engineering report. On page 32, you comment on the Quail Hollow Desert Pipeline removal.
Yeah.
Is Granite Rock already contracted to do that removal?
So to be clear, Granite Rock owns the quarry,
Right,
and in 1964, we entered into an agreement with Granite Rock,
right,
which allowed us to install the water pipeline through the quarry,
yeah,
with the understanding that when they wanted to open the mine and that portion of the quarry,
yeah.
we would remove the pipeline.
right, okay. Oh, so that is Granite Rock's involvement,
So Granite Rock owns the quarry
right?
where our
Understand.
pipeline exists, and they've notified us they want to remove it.
Okay, so we're getting a contract.
At
With
this
somebody else
time,
to
they
remove.
haven't given us a firm schedule.
Okay,
Portion of
okay,
the quarry is like a habitat conservation area.
right, okay. I understand,
This pipe.
right, I understand the Granite Rock reference then.
Okay,
So we're gonna need to get a contract with somebody to remove it.
yes,
Okay, okay. And maybe it's Granite Rock,
yeah. Could be.
ideally. Okay, that's my only question.
Are the mainline repairs, is that in Jesse's?
Yeah, it's mine.
That's yours, okay. All right. If there's no other questions from directors,
Nope.
any, okay, no public hands up?
Nope.
Take it away, Jesse.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, before I get started, I want to give a very quick update on the work that Essential Operations has been doing in our wastewater plant. District staff and Essential Operations have made several adjustment improvements to our wastewater treatment plant. Additionally, we have seen improvement in the total nitrogen reduction performance, with our most recent lab result resulting in a 61% reduction. And I'll provide more details at a meeting in July.
Great.
All right, so first I'm going to start with USA Locates. Total USA Locates performed by the district in Q1 2026 was 871, a 11.5% increase compared to the 5-year Q1 average. Overall, USA Locates performed over the last 4 quarters increased by 39% compared to the 5-year average. This significant increase over the past year has required additional staff time, resulting in unforeseen increase on our operational workload.
Do you have any ideas why it's going up?
I think all the projects you're seeing on Highway 9, Grand Highway 9, you'll see why.
Yeah,
I think
that's right.
people are doing a better job calling USA Locate than they have in the past, but I can't give you exactly.
No, that's,
And
yeah.
to Director Foltz's point earlier, we've installed this many new meters. That could also be related to folks calling in USA tickets. They're putting in new water lines.
doing projects on their house. Yeah.
Do we try to quantify how much this is costing us?
No, we haven't done that. It's a requirement.
I mean, I get that it's a requirement, but there may be ways of doing things differently to maybe help keep some of that down. I don't know. If it's costing us $1 million a year, That's a big number. We ought to know that that's what it's costing us.
Yeah, I don't know how we can bring that cost down. We could quantify it by just taking the number of locates we've done and
Yeah.
putting an
Sure,
hourly
yeah,
rate
just-
to it, but
Yeah.
how we bring that down, I'm not sure, you know, you guys.
Right, all right, fair enough.
All right. Main repairs. All right, yeah, mainline repairs. Total number of mainline repairs completed by the district in Q1 2026 was 30. Overall, there has only been an 8.5% decrease in mainline repairs over the last year compared to the 5-year quarterly average. Staff anticipates that the upcoming pipeline replacement projects over the next several years will further reduce the number of mainline repairs required in the future. So we're excited to replace, get some bigger mainline projects going.
I guess a quick question I'd have for you, Jesse, is are we able to take these mainline repairs and put them into some kind of a GIS database that references characteristics about each of these breaks, you know, pipe size, age, type of pipe, look, you know, neighborhood, that kind of stuff, so that we can see if there's any broader issues that are going on that we just need to be aware of.
Yeah, I mean, each main break gets a work order with all that information, so that could, you know, potentially be put into.
Yeah, I know it's some work, but establishing that that database could be very helpful in the long run. Just because it might say that all of our 2-inch lines that's where, and I don't know, you know, that over 50 years old, they're failing at 2 or 3 times the rate of newer pipe, just so that we can then prioritize.
Yeah, to quantify it. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Which things we're going to go after first.
I think as we
I mean,
improve our
heat map.
GIS system, that hopefully we can include that.
Yeah.
A leak heat map.
Heat map. Yeah.
I mean, as long as your work orders are all electronic, they can go in database real easy.
Yep. Okay, good. Thank you. Oh,
2 more. All right, new meter installed. A total of 160 new meters were installed in Q1 2026, representing a 42% increase over the quarterly running average. This increase was primarily driven by the Ben Loma meter changeout project, which took place from early February to early May. As a result, 47% of the district's meters are now cellular read. This percentage is expected to increase as we accelerate the replacement of end-of-life meters and complete additional grant-funded meter changeout projects. And I'll also add that staff is preparing to test approximately 400 end-of-life meters over the next several months. The results of this testing will provide a more accurate assessment of overall meter accuracy throughout the system and improve our estimate of accounted water loss resulting from customer meter inaccuracies.
That's fantastic.
So,
can I ask of the manual? Are they like drive-by?
it's radio reads.
Radio,
You have to get
okay.
close,
You have to get close,
but you don't
okay.
have to lift.
You don't have to
We
lift
still have a
it.
couple of those left, but
Okay. Okay.
I think, you know, majority of those are just radio.
All right. And those are just done, the drive-bys are once a month,
Yes.
right? Do you have a ballpark swag as to what is the cost of the drive-by?
Yeah, sure. I don't.
Okay. Well, that might be, again, something just to just kind of know what are our costs in each of these pieces of the delivery of.
Yeah, I think
water,
I'm
right?
focusing more on like what kind of, you know, having accurate meters, what kind of additional
Absolutely.
funds, but you know,
Yeah.
what's that's actually costing us the additional time. Yeah.
Right. Because
It is significant. Don't, you know, we're constantly reading meters. And whatnot, so.
right. And depending on how many people are doing that, it might justify a board action saying, you know what, we're going to jump the gun and go ahead and get more meters scheduled to be replaced.
Bingo.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Of course, ROI.
yeah. Okay, good. Thanks. Any other questions on this part? Sorry. No. Okay. All right. Continue, Jesse. Thank you.
Production. All right, total production in Q1 2026 was 385 acre feet, which was 64 acre feet less than the quarterly running average. This decrease can be attributed to the lower demand during the winter months. Surface water production in Q1 2026 was 81%, which was 15% higher than the quarterly running average. So this is where it gets fun. Source dependent costs. This includes PG&E and chemical costs. Were $270 per acre foot. This was $48 less than the quarterly running average and demonstrates a direct correlation between a higher percentage of surface water production, and lower source dependent costs. Surface water production is expected to continue increasing as repairs are made to the surface water intakes that were damaged during the CZU fire. So then that kind of hits on your question of return investment. We can, that 10% over 20 years might pay for the project. I don't know, so.
Oh, this is great, great data. Thank you. And I guess in the same vein as knowing our costs, one thing that struck me about the difference, I forget, $270 versus 383. If you go through the math, that works out to only $3, little bit over $3 per acre foot difference in cost between surface versus well water. And which is only 50,000 a year. And I was thinking it just seems really low intuitively. Now, maybe that's just the way it works.
No, I'll bring this to the next quarterly meeting. I do have the number, like what it costs for groundwater and what it costs for surface water.
Yeah,
and it's closer to like double the amount.
Okay, yeah, that I would really appreciate that.
I'll dive into that.
Because groundwater, we're lifting it up an average of 200 feet. Do you know what the number is?
Anywhere between like 450 to 150.
450. Well, okay.
Some of our wells go down about 400.
Okay. Because that actually is a significant amount of electricity. And
No,
I don't.
it's about double compared to.
Okay. But this number doesn't capture like the well electric use, or it does?
It does.
It does. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. So what I did, I just created just an average of the two numbers for each quarter instead of breaking them up in between. So I'll make a note of that for the next.
Yeah, and then just to make sure that you looked at any incremental contribution to cost. So for instance, if more labor is associated with well equipment versus surface drawing the water, that would be something to also show increment. And maybe there's not. Maybe, I don't know.
It's hard to, PG&Es and chemical costs are a little bit more
straightforward, right?
Breaking down the hours spent on each, that would be a little more time, but that is something we can look into.
Yeah. I guess I was
making improvements on our hour meters. We've had a lot of hour meters that either we didn't have or weren't working. So we've increased, our electricians have fixed a few of those already. So
that's great.
That should give us a more accurate number as well.
Okay. All right. Now it's a great start to getting our hands around where in the supply chain from surface water to well water going through the system, where are our costs? Because that then gives us the ability to sort of focus on places which will have a good return and reduce our operating costs and hopefully more productivity.
Yeah.
So that's great.
To simplify it, groundwater is about twice as much as surface water, but in chemical and PG&E costs. So I call them source dependent costs. So.
Okay.
Is the chemical cost lower for groundwater?
Yes.
Yeah. Just
but
way more.
Our treatment's not, relatively compared to other, it's really
the
clean,
surface water is pretty darn.
Yeah, but there is additional extra cost.
Interesting.
But the electricity is
way more.
Way more. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue. No. I mean,
that's all I have.
We're just in the flow here. Yeah. Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions, Bob, for Jesse?
Yeah, just one. Are we planning on doing any leak detection this year?
We're working on the RFP for the leak detection.
Because it's not budgeted, we're looking at outside the budget. We're gonna get RFP ready and then complete it outside the budget.
Well, based on historical performance, the ROI is a no-brainer. So
yeah, and I think the board would be totally behind you doing.
Yeah, no, we discussed this at the engineering committee.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mark. No questions. Okay, and nothing from the remote. Okay. All right. Have I forgotten anybody for quarterly reports? I want to make sure I haven't blown it again. Okay. All right. All right. So now we're moving on to unfinished business. It's only taken us over an hour and a half to get to this point. All right. Well, appreciate all the work, each of you. Thank you very much. There's a lot went into this, and look forward to getting this in a way that's streamlined and that we won't micromanage you, but that we address issues that we feel are important. Okay, so I guess The on-call special inspection contract.
Thank you, President Russ.
Right.
So this was brought to the board on April 16th. The board had several questions about rates and prevailing wage requirements. So we reached out to our consultant. The prevailing wage for our area is as low as $79.06, as high as $94.24. All the bidders confirmed that their rates are for prevailing wage, and that's the amount that gets paid to the technician that comes to your site. Obviously, at a rate of $127 an hour, they're making money on the technician coming to the site. They only pay him $94.24. I would note that there are certain minimums. For instance, for twinning, they have a 2-hour minimum. If the inspector arrives at the job site and there's no work to perform, they have a 4-hour minimum for 1 to 4 hours of inspection. They have an 8-hour minimum over 4 to 8 hours of inspection. So coming from Concord, if they were to leave their office at 8 a.m. today, Google Maps said it would take 2 hours and 12 minutes to get to our office. If they were to leave our office at 11 a.m. this morning, it would take them 1 hour and 36 minutes to get back to their office. If you assume they were at our site for 1 hour, that comes out to 4.8 hours, and we would be at the 8-hour minimum at that point. So it's very risky, to hire twinning when they're so far away. If there's a car accident, if they're working on the road or something like that, we could, obviously we're going to have the 4-hour minimum regardless. And that's over $500 at $127 an hour.
And they are fully billing for travel, not half or one way.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the questions that the board had at the last meeting was, does the travel time for the staff member to get to the inspection location get billed at the same hourly rate as the site inspection hourly rate? Twinning responded, yes, the travel time rate is the same as the rate that corresponds with the requested service for that day. Hardwick Kucinich indicated that no, on-site time, including observation and testing, is billed at the prevailing wage technician rate, but travel time is billed at our standard technician rate, which is $180 an hour. So looking at the same kind of analysis, if someone from Hardwick Kucinich left their office at 8 a.m. this morning, it would take 1 hour and 2 minutes to get to our office. If you assume they were at the site for 1 hour and they left at 11 a.m., the same time that we looked for twinning, it would take them 51 minutes to get back to Watsonville. That comes out to 2.88 hours total, but 2 of the hours would be at $180 an hour. 1 of the hours would be at $225 an hour. So that comes out to about $585.
I guess it's begging the question, but have you tried to put together a spreadsheet with your estimates for these two folks, HKA and Twinning, for how many trips would they be making a month? What would that extra cost be, for instance, for the Twinning to come from Concord? Just so we can try to get an estimate of apples to apples. Because
You did, I mean, you don't have the spreadsheet, but you did the numbers, so.
Yeah, so it's $508 for twinning if we get the 4-hour minimum. And then it's $585 for Hardwick Kucinich on straight time with the reduced travel time cost per hour, but the higher technician cost at the site time. Obviously, the longer they're at the site at $225 an hour, it hurts you more than $127 an hour. But if you go over 4 hours, you hit the 8-hour minimum with twinning.
So, I had a thought. Could you split the job?
Yes, so what we could do is we could do individual contracts, like we got $10,000 and see how many tests we get out of it, and then do $10,000 our percentage to see how many tests. And
To that end, I don't know what job it was. Was it Highland job?
yeah,
Yeah, they're doing a port and we were gonna use finding on them just to see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, we don't, because if you leave at noon heading south, Highway 1 is a parking lot,
yes.
right? Whereas, but if you wait till like 3:17 is a disaster.
I would also say that if, there's some instances where Hara Kucinich, like for instance, at our Redwood Park tank, they have another job up scenic. So they are giving us a better deal because they're charging, us for part of the time and the other job for part of the time. So having a local firm has some advantages in that aspect.
So, to your point, Bob, is there any reason not to move ahead with this proposed memo as it is? And at the same time, come back in a couple of weeks to put a smaller but somewhat similar contract in place with HK?
I would say maybe, are you guys over the cost limit
Yes.
where you could actually manage them up to $10,000-15,000, see what we get, see what the performance like, and then go?
He's proposing here 120,000
Well,
in this.
that's their full bid, yeah.
And that's for a 3-year.
Well,
duration.
But that's where I'm thinking, is there a way to manage it on a more,
What was the one for Highland?
the difference isn't significant, it's $8,000.
So when I first got to the district in 2023, Rick, with the stroke of his pen, had a $20,000 allotment for Hara Kucinich to do testing.
Mhm.
That lasted until Jason got here, at which point we expended that money. Okay, we needed to get a new contract going. Can we get Hara Kucinich again? So within his limit, we got another on call. And so instead of coming back to the board every so often, depending on the volume of projects we're doing,
Right.
The idea was, why don't we get somebody under contract for like a 3-year period? Anytime we need special inspection, we have somebody we can call. They can come help us out.
It makes sense to do that, don't get me wrong, but it would be great to have a little bit more experience with each of them.
So we can continue what we're doing now, but what we did at my previous district is when we would do well rehabilitations, we'd have 2 people that we'd had contracts with.
Mhm.
And we would call one. If they weren't available, we'd call the other.
Exactly, yeah.
The same thing on project.
There's no reason why you can't enter contracts with both of these, lower amount under the 30,000. So try it out, see what you think, and then we could enter into a 3-year agreement down the line.
So
Okay.
if that's acceptable, put in a couple of $25,000 contracts. Yeah, I would think with both of them, giving you the flexibility then to call this one because of the job specific requirements, or that one with the job specific requirements, and tell us
Yeah, let Garrett decide which one he thinks is gonna be.
is
You can bring the data to the board.
more economically feasible and gets the work done that you need.
Yeah, the main thing for me is that I need somebody that if the contractor's pouring concrete next Wednesday, I need somebody out there taking
Okay.
cylinders.
So given that, then, do we need to take any action on this memo tonight?
No.
You're putting it under my,
No, putting under your jurisdiction.
Under your authority, yeah. Run any
Next.
comments?
No, this makes sense to me.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And thanks for explaining it all. I for some reason thought we were obligated to spend the contracted amount listed, and understanding now that these are estimates and
yeah, the problem when
incremental
we get
approach
these kind of estimates
suggested
is
stuff.
you're getting the contractor's estimate of time as
Right.
well. And
Right.
Yeah. We're buying services,
Yeah.
not a specific task completion.
Right.
Moving on.
Okay. Right, I think the next agenda item is the Camp Creme. Is that right?
Yep,
Okay,
I'll be taking that one.
all right.
So this is the 5 mile camping rental agreement with Camp Prep.
It is part of the 5 Mile hazard tree mitigation and shaded fuel break projects. And the planned start is June 17th, if I believe so. And the CCC will mitigate approximately 650 hazardous trees along the pipeline and implement a shaded fuel break along a portion of the pipeline. The hazard tree mitigation will allow the district to begin other phases of the pipeline reconstruction. The shaded fuel break will protect the pipeline once rebuilt, the Lion Water Treatment Plant, and provide access to fire crews and protection of the town of Boulder Creek. And for the project, the CCC need a place to camp. And so Camp Creme is a perfect fit. We've done this with them for the Peavine project as well, and that worked out very well. And so we're basically looking to replicate that for 5 Mile. The agreement this time is for $4,000 monthly rent. And we're expecting that over the course of 10 months because that's the schedule the DCC has given us. So that totals 40,000. This cost will be paid from reserves and fully reimbursed by the grant. And one change that I wanted to mention is we're looking to change the payment date to the 15th of each month because we're planning to start the contract on the 15th, so it makes sense to pay on the 15th. But yeah, with that, I will take any questions.
If we need more than 10 months of rental, is there sort of just a carry on to the contract?
Yeah, I believe there is.
Okay.
I'd have to find it, but
All
yeah,
right.
usually we would.
Yeah, I would hope so. Okay.
I think it's fair an extension. Says the parties may agree to extend the rental period as may be necessary for Triple C to complete the project.
Very good. Okay.
So that may impact the motion. Particularly because you're gonna say for 40,000, you have to make sure that the motion is not so much for 40,000, but just that we're approving the contract. Which also includes potentially making payments for electricity. If it exceeds a certain amount. So I don't want 40,000 to be the fixed number, because when you hit that, then you gotta come back to us. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we're not expecting it to, but yeah, if it were to, then we'd have to come back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned. Look, this is a worthy thing. I mean, it's good for them, it's good for us. It's not as, I mean, Peavine, they were right there. Here, they gotta drive a bit, but big deal, it's not that far. I don't see any reason for this to come back if it goes over a month or two.
Well, and wouldn't Jason have that discretionary ability if it were just
We, as a board, we don't like that usually because that allows,
It's open-ended.
yeah, what could happen? I mean, not that Jason would do this, but he could do something for 30,000 and then say, oh, I can do another 30 with the same guys. It's a different contract, but it's more of a continuation thing.
Yeah.
We don't like that.
So we can change the recommended motion after we get to
Yeah, I mean, there's
asking
just,
it a
yeah,
question.
something needs to change here to not make it 40,000.
You're giving the general manager discretion to extend it by a certain amount or just changing it to.
we can make it 50,000 not to exceed. and-
What you could say is enter into the contract with Camp Creme for rental and, electric and other services and associated services and let it go at that.
Or at the anticipated rate, 4,000 a month.
Plus,
Incidental.
plus,
Yeah.
incidental expenses, something like that, to
Yeah.
get us out of the
To put
40,000.
some dollar
Yeah.
amount in there.
Okay, sorry, I know we aren't in
No,
motion yet, but
okay.
that was my only concern.
Well, it sounds like if we were to modify the motion to basically be at a rate of 4,000 a month plus incidental expenses
Should work.
for an estimated 10 months, or just leave it.
To leave it at that.
Okay.
Don't need to put the time period in.
Okay. And then we're managing when it ends.
He manages.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
They
Yeah.
manage it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I don't have any other
See.
questions on this memo.
Okay, so I guess if I were to pose this motion, I would say the board directs the general manager to,
Point of order, sorry, we do have to ask for public,
oh, public. Sorry. How many dozens of people are lined up?
one, and I don't see a hand up.
Oh,
Right.
Not
But we
even,
do have to ask.
okay, thank you. I keep blowing that. All right, the board, let's take a crack at this and please help out if you have other additions to it. The board directs the general manager to approve the agreement with Camp Creme,
Enter in.
enter into an agreement with Camp Creme for 4,000 per month plus incidental expenses for camping rental for the 5 Mile Hazard Tree Mitigation and Shaded Fuel Break project.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, President Russ,
Yes.
Director Largay.
Yes.
Director Foltz,
Yes.
Director Smalley,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, thank you. And all right, great. Let's see. Oh, on to election
Yeah.
stuff. Oh, boy.
Are we
Well,
on that?
Point of order,
Oh, yes.
is Balance Hydraulics being?
Oh,
Was that
did I miss
yes,
that? I
you're-
did. So
No,
sorry.
We didn't pull.
I didn't print that part out. All right.
Yeah, so I'll be taking the next item. And so this is, subject is a Balance Hydrologics Water Year 2026 Stream Flow Monitoring Agreement. And some of the background on this is that the district has been utilizing Balance Hydrologics to monitor stream flow since 2014. And we currently have monitoring at 3 sites. We have operational gauging at Fall Creek. This includes a real-time gauge and pressure transducers, which are manually downloaded monthly. And flow is currently measured upstream of the diversion, with the diversion rate subtracted. And they're looking to change that to downstream of the diversion so they don't have to subtract out what we're diverting. It just makes the measurement easier. And then the other sites that we're monitoring are ecological monitoring, and that is at Foreman and Boulder Creeks. And these ones are only conducted in the dry season, which is June to September. And it's mainly looking at flow and temperature for the purposes of habitat and fisheries. And I think from a big picture, this data is kind of what ensures that we stay within our bypass flow at Fall Creek. And then it's also what will provide the basis for our conjunctive use project. Included in the proposal was something that the board had requested, which was training for district staff in terms of what we're doing out there. And to that end, this morning, I actually went out with their staff and kind of learned about what was happening out there, how we actually do the measurements, all that good stuff. So that was really cool. And yeah, this proposed agreement is for $49,894.50, including a $5,000 contingency. With that, I'll take any questions.
Okay. Brian, you want to take up first?
I appreciate the approach. I think that it is accurate to think that these data will be important for the conjunctive use planning. I think that there are very likely opportunities for cost savings by staff assuming responsibility for some of this stuff, like monthly downloading of data from the transducers and a collaborative process where Balance trains staff to replace their work is a great strategy for cost containment over the long run. So not really a question,
No.
but there's my thought.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
Along that line, you didn't allude to that part of it, Chris, in your comment. You went out and saw what they do so that you're informed as to what they're doing. It didn't go to the point of what Brian was implying, which is what the board had asked to have. Is
I would
that,
say it was more of a training, like
But
we
we'll-
walked through step by step.
Right.
and
but will you be the one who's out there eventually, or potentially replacing Balance?
Or his staff.
Right, or their staff.
Yeah.
Or would it be somebody else within district staff doing that? And is that still the current thought? That that's what this training would eventually be able to do, offset their cost with staff and reduce the overall. Is that,
Yeah, that's my understanding of what we're pursuing is that they train us up so that we can kind of replace some of
Okay.
that cost
And
and
that's-
do more of this work
right,
in-house.
and that was the intent?
Right.
Okay, that was, wanted to make sure that that's still what we were thinking. Okay, that's my only question on that.
Okay, Bob, please.
Because if it wasn't that, I would say after 12 years of
Yep,
using the
yep.
same vendor, we need to do an RFP and maybe do a multi-year thing and all that, because even though we may like what Balance Hydrologics is doing, say that 3 times fast, it's a good idea to periodically reassess your suppliers. So if this is going to go on with Balance, with this process over the long term, which it sounds like it at least will go until we have our water rights, which is 2030, we may want to look at doing an RFP and a multi-year contract at some point, maybe with a reduced scope of work, but still have somebody there. Can the data be collected remotely, like with Starlink or something like that, a Starlink connection?
I am not sure at Fall Creek we're able to, but I think that's because we already have SCADA there. Whereas these other ones are somewhat remote.
Yeah.
But I am not sure.
And no solar possibility or battery or anything like that.
I don't know. Like, yeah, it gets wrecked every year in the winter, so that's why we remove it from Boulder and.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But if we have
but yeah, I don't
somebody
know.
that's skilled in those aspects, Jason, who could provide that input to then reduce your amount of staff's labor involved in this, yes.
Maybe we'll go out there with Chris one of these days.
I will say that another piece of it is doing the actual like observations and measurements in the field. There may be a way to automate that. I'm not sure, but it does seem like getting out there and doing the actual staff reading and adjusting the curve based on what the conditions you're seeing is a somewhat important part of it. But yeah, maybe there's a way for at least part of it to automate.
I mean, the application of technology everything we do, we need to be thinking about, can we apply technology to simplify everybody's life? You got so much work to do just getting through all the permitting stuff and all the rest of it, that adding another task to your list is not high on my priority list, right? But anyway, okay. Now, do we share this data with anybody?
No. I mean, we use it for like some reporting, but how do you mean in terms of?
Well, if we're sharing data with other people, or it becomes a foundation for data with other people, can we get support from other people for the cost? For example,
No, the data we shared, like Chris was alluding to, is for reporting that we were doing to the state, and I don't.
we don't share with any other agency or group or environmental organization or anything like that.
We were cooperating with county on some data readings.
A long time
and
ago.
they were doing the work and we were
helping them.
paying a portion of it.
Yeah, that was a long time
Not
ago.
allowed to be doing any of that.
Okay. Then the last thing is on the motion. If there is a 5K contingency, that again goes into how you word the motion.
It's already included in the total.
It's in the total?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you said 5K. I took that to mean plus 5K contingency, not including the 5K.
Including.
Okay, great. Fabulous.
Oh, okay.
Any public comments?
Well, I had just a couple quick questions myself. So we only need to monitor 2 streams that would be, I guess, if we get to some minimum threshold of flow, we have to stop drawing from them, right? Is it just the two creeks
No.
or what? I thought it was more than that.
So let me do this. This is a very complicated subject. If you want to reduce the time tonight, I would suggest creating an agenda item to review our bypass flow requirements, the fact that we ignore them for the most part, just record them and move on. But it is an interesting topic,
Okay,
but it's pretty involved.
yeah, I guess I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
And it relates to the water rights and Santa Cruz and the whole bit.
Sounds like a long topic.
Yes.
The newbies, myself included, should probably, we should
Yeah.
cover it
You should.
at some
It
point.
should be on the agenda.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
I'll give you the cliff notes. We just have to monitor Fall Creek for by-flow requirements.
Right.
And we do maintain we do maintain the requirement. We don't ignore it. We do. We
Okay.
constantly track it every day and make sure. we stay
Okay,
above
and only
Okay.
Fall Creek?
But
Fall Creek.
But now that you open that up, the fact of the matter is, the fact of the matter is
I had to.
that we do not shut off water collection if we were to fall below the
We choke back our.
choke it back, but we don't cut it off.
Well, we
Just to
cut
be
it off
clear.
to the point where we can maintain our requirement.
I get that, but I want to make sure it's clear for Bob that it's not cut off. Right, yeah.
No, but, okay, yeah, thank you both. Okay.
Sorry.
All right, and I guess a minor point would be, as you get up to speed and are being trained on this, and then maybe help train other staff. I don't know what kind of proprietary software they then take this data and massage it and process it. And it would be interesting to find out, how much of this can we really take over, or how much do we still end up having to use them? If it's this contract's for basically 50,000 a year, I guess, right? Okay. So again, just as a future point, and then they're charging us rentals too, right? For transducers and stuff. It's a small amount, 2,200, but if that could be bought by us instead of renting it for 10 years and paying it over and over, it's again, just a question of being, if that transducer is going to be in the field for a long time, is it something worth renting? And it might be, I don't know.
Right.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right. Any other questions, comments from directors? How about the public? All right.
Hey, Timu won for $50. Just kidding, just kidding.
Yeah.
No Timu.
Timu, not Timu. Okay, then we are now moving on, I believe, to the elections. No, still?
Motion,
Oh, need a motion. So sorry.
but
Okay.
does one public member have any comments on this? No,
Yes.
he doesn't.
Okay. Right. No public. Okay. That's what I understood.
So I'll move that the board directs the general manager to enter into an agreement with Balance Hydrologics for $49,894.50 for water year 2026 stream flow monitoring.
I'll second that.
All right, President Ruff,
Yes.
Director Largay,
Yes.
Director Smalling.
Yes.
Yes.
And passes.
Now for the thing you're hot.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah, they've been
Oh,
trying
what
to
have I
skip
forgot?
everything all night.
I know.
Finances and elections, that's all.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, what he cares about.
Mhm.
All right. Jason, take it away.
All right, resolution ordering the November 2026 general district election, asking that Santa Cruz County elections conducted and seeking consolidation with the countywide election. Under California Water Code and Election Code, special districts like ours are required to consolidate our district elections with the county's general election cycle wherever possible. The deadline to file our notice of election with the county is July 1st, but I think it's August something.
It's August.
It's gotta be July.
July 1st. How's that?
Yeah, because July 13th is opening the candidate filing.
So this action is time sensitive, and acting tonight keeps us comfortably ahead of that deadline. 3 of our 5 director seats come up this cycle. Seat 1 is a 4-year term currently held by Bob Russ, who was appointed by the board in June of 2025 to serve until December of 2026. Seat 2 is a 4-year term held by Mark Smalley, who was elected in 2022. And seat 5 is a 4-year term held by Bob Foltz, also elected in 2022. All 3 seats will be open on the November 3rd ballot for a 4-year term. As of late May, the district has just under 18,000 registered voters. Santa Cruz County estimates that the per voter cost for this election is between $2.50 and $5, putting our total estimated cost somewhere between roughly $45,000 and $90,000. For context, the last district election, the county billed us approximately $35,000, or about $1.90. I think it was $1.
2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Beyond adopting the resolution itself, state law gives the board discretion on 2 items in the notice of the county clerk. First, the candidate statement length. Historically, the board has limited statements to 200 words. The alternative is 400 words, but that often doubles publication costs. Second, the 2-page for the candidate statements. In the last election, the district covered the cost of publishing candidate statements in the voter information pamphlet on behalf of the candidates.
We did.
That's what I was told.
That's what we were told.
I,
I paid for mine,
I'm,
but
I'm stunned.
Okay.
yes, Brian, you ran most recently.
Did you
Did-
I
pay?
remember paying for something.
Okay,
Okay.
but did you get any reimbursement from the district?
No,
It would have been paid to the county. So
We historically, we have never paid.
okay,
Yeah.
that's what I had originally.
I understand that,
That's
but
what Cherie knows from the city. That's what I knew from my district.
But-
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
well,
it
But-
could get expensive if 20 people all.
Yeah, well,
sign on.
it's about $900 a pop.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait,
No,
That's what the number is?
No, it's more like 400.
Well, it's 320 to do it online, and then they said it was 3 cents per voter. So $320, and then 3 cents per voter. is what I was told.
They're jacking up the cost. Wow, okay, all right, whatever.
well, no, we have a decision to make here. Do we stay with what at least Director Foltz and I require or remember to be precedent that the district has not paid?
Yeah, no, I
And
mean,
it-
we got to do that. That's, you know,
That's my feel on it.
Yeah.
And then the
Mine
other-
as well.
And then the other one is the 250
200.
or the
200
200
words.
word statement versus the 400 word statement. And my recollection is that the district said, no, make it the 200 word statement as the limit.
Yeah, and I think with today's technology, you can always direct people to other places to get
Exactly.
information, whereas in the past, far
Yes.
distant past, 400 might have been helpful, right? So,
You could have,
Yeah.
yeah. And for further information, here's my website link and you can go research everything else that I'm.
go for it, yeah.
I think we're trying to keep costs under control.
Yes.
That's the bottom line. And I understand, Jason, that I forget the elections person actually sent us a more formal resolution. Is that correct?
Bishop Weber, her staff.
You sent it.
I.
Yeah, that's this one
No,
here.
we created the.
You created, okay,
Yes.
okay, yeah. So that would be the one that we would actually be presumably voting.
It's based off the template, but yeah.
Okay,
Everything's exactly the same as the template.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, Brian, any discussion on, I guess, two or three topics are the 200 word limit,
payment of fees.
paying the fees, do candidates pay for their own statements?
Yep. Yeah, I am aligned with consensus that appears to be emerging with respect to both of those. I don't think we should pay for statements, and I think 200 words is sufficient. And yeah, I'm comfortable with that in a resolution and
Okay.
proceeding.
All right.
Okay.
Mark, I assume you've already made your statement, Bob as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I as well.
Okay.
So
So I see that those 2 points aren't part of the recommended
So I would
motion.
recommend that we adopt the resolution ordering the election and authorizing consolidation with the county and approve the notice to the county clerk of elective offices to be filed,
Right.
consistent with historical policy.
No.
You know,
Explicitly stated.
I agree with what Director Fulton is saying.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can then, so it's items 1 and 2 as written here, and item 3 is, through that
Statements limited to 200 words
200
and the
words.
candidate pays for it.
And candidate, and the district does not compensate candidates for,
Right.
their cost
Sure.
to submit.
Sure.
Yeah, I think both of those two
Yeah.
cover it then.
Because keep in mind, candidates don't have to submit a statement.
Right.
That is optional.
Yes.
Yep. That's right.
So,
I'll second that if that's been captured.
I have it.
Don't forget to call for a public comment.
yes,
Ah, yes, thank you, Gage.
and we see none. Okay.
Done.
Uh,
Okay.
Then Jason read a recommended motion. Do we need to
Well,
You want me
restate
to
that,
read- you
one
want
of us?
yeah, let's restate and make
Okay.
sure we're clear.
Right.
Adopt resolution ordering the election and authorizing consolidation with the county and approve the notice to county clerk of the elected office to be filed. Statements limited to 200 words and candidates pay for their statement.
Right,
Okay,
okay.
all right.
I will second. Is that, I was
Both.
so moved.
So moved and I'll second.
Okay. All right, President Rush,
Yes.
Director Legge,
Yes.
Director Smalley,
Yes,
and Director Folks.
Yes.
All right. On to 11D, Water Station, Ben Lomond.
All right. The purpose of this agenda item is to recommend that the board authorize the in-kind donation of the district's water station for the Ben Lomond Village Alliance's Village Market, which will be held this Saturday at the Ben Lomond Mill Street Park. Supporting this event will provide the district an opportunity to engage in positive community outreach while supporting a local nonprofit organization. About 4 hours of staff time will be required to support this effort, totaling approximately $250 in district resources. All water usage from the station will be metered and billed accordingly. Staff has also developed an event donation policy to establish guidelines for future requests. The proposed policy will be presented at the next administrative committee.
Very good.
okay, good,
Good, yeah. Any comments from directors?
yes. Since this amount is, did you say $250? You probably spent more time, more thought so far to developing the memo. So I think for this size of it, general manager has the discretion to, yes, go and do this stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think
Well, that's what
policy,
the-
hopefully the policy.
That's what the policy will take care of. Yeah. So from here on out. Yeah.
Right.
That's great. The more of this, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I think that's great.
to a degree, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah, I did have a couple of thoughts in this, and it might have to do with, I don't know, whatever policy comes, but is there any way that this can become a self-service water station?
It's on county property. I thought of that and I tried to discuss that with the county. They didn't really entertain that idea.
Well, I mean, it might not be in this case, but maybe in other cases, I don't know.
I mean, they have drinking fountains and sinks there, like in the bathroom, but the whole idea is we're out there with,
Okay,
people,
so,
public out.
right, so then that sort of shifts a little bit on how the policy is stated. One way is, are we just wanting to provide water, or are we providing sort of marketing support? And if it's marketing support for the entire duration of the event, how long is the event?
It's from 10 to 2. It's not very long.
It's only 4 hours, and so 250 seems like a small amount. I'm just, this kind of gets into how you're doing the cost. I mean, that's, how many people, 1 or 2?
We're actually, this one will be, it's volunteer based. So anyone that's gonna anyone from the district that's there supporting it, it's not considered overtime.
Wow.
How did you do
Well, the
that?
way we're doing the public outreach is we're providing a table with the brochures
Yeah,
and kind of similar to what we did at the Mountain Fair, except someone on site.
how is it the district, what if nobody volunteers?
We don't, it's not the way the water station's set up, you don't need.
There's no, it doesn't need to be manned. This water station, right?
But you still need to pay somebody to set it up, right?
Yeah.
Set it up.
But that's,
Oh, I see.
That's the
Okay.
cost. Get it out there, get it set up, get it plumbed in.
This is just, yeah,
Bring it
Oh,
back.
okay, all right, all right.
Yes.
So you're just gonna leave the material and no one may be there, basically.
I'm gonna be there when it starts in the morning, but then I have plenty of
Yeah.
rest of the day.
Okay, well, I mean, these are all things for the policy to kind of get in my head, because the marketing aspect of it to me is a very different objective than just providing water.
Mhm.
And hopefully the policy will address those two very different objectives in a way that, you
Yeah.
know, is good
Yeah.
for the district.
I agree, having someone on staff, is good, but I think there still is a benefit just having a station with our banner there, brochures.
As long as it's all clear in the policy what the expectations are, that's all. I just want expectations to be set in a way that everybody is like, yep, we understand.
Any other
Other than
comments?
that, I agree with Mark. We don't even need to vote on this from my point of view. We can just, it's whatever, right? So,
Any other comments from directors?
I'll just say it's cool that it doesn't have to be staffed. I didn't realize that. That's terrific.
Yeah, it's a benefit of the water station.
And I drank a lot of it at the Redwood Mountain Fair.
I heard
Appreciate that.
it was popular.
so does everybody want to vote on this?
It was hot.
Well, there's a motion.
I don't know.
Do
that
you
we
want to
can-
vote, Jason? I mean, we certainly can. We have in the past.
Okay,
Part of the purpose was to bring it to the
Just bring it-
public,
right,
to this meeting.
to the board. Right, okay.
So that could have been done as an information item.
Yeah.
Just trying to be consistent because it is on.
we had asked.
We've
Not
done others
budgeted,
like
we did
that.
it with the fair, I want to be
Yes,
consistent.
we did.
By the next one, let's have a policy.
Okay. All right, thanks for the update. Any comments from the public? Okay. All right, so now I think if I've got this right, moving on to the consent agenda. Any comments from directors on the first set of board minutes from April 16th?
Yeah, I got to pull that to make a comment, unfortunately. So,
We've got to pull that, okay.
to make
All
a
right.
comment, but not the other.
Okay, so we will pull the 4/16/26 consent to the next meeting, I presume.
No, I
No,
can make my
a comment
comment
now.
now,
Oh.
and we can vote on it, but I want to clarify something about what's in here, because I do appreciate that Lee went and did some research into the video.
Ah.
But there's a key piece of there that's missing.
Oh,
And I just want to make sure, I don't necessarily have to change the minutes, but I want to make sure that we state for the record what I said at that time. And that was, board comments need to be very strictly constrained. That is, it's not a free-for-all for whatever you want. In fact, I think I said this, in fact, I know I said this in conjunction with the board policy manual that identifies what those constraints are and what exactly board members can talk about. So I wouldn't have agreed to just bring back an agenda where there's board comments. I would have agreed to bring back the agenda with board comments constrained by those 5 things explicitly stated on the agenda. So, hopefully that's, again, we don't need to change the minutes, but hopefully that's clear that if we add those comments on here, we have to make sure we're saying what those constraints are.
fair enough. Any other comments from directors on, I guess, the 4/16? Okay, and how about the 5/7 board minutes?
Sorry, we have to ask for public comment. Well, excuse me, public comment on the 4/16.
One at a time? Yeah, I guess so.
Then we have to vote on it. And then we can move on to the consent, rest of the consent.
Thank you. All right, any public comments on the 4/16? Okay.
And I'll move that we approve the minutes of the 4/16/26 Water District meeting.
I'll second.
All right, President Russ,
Yes.
Director Largay,
Yes.
Director Smalley,
Yes.
Director Foltz.
Yes.
All right. We have been approved with corrections.
No corrections needed.
Corrections?
No,
No correction.
just a comment.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, then moving on to 12B, consent agenda for the board minutes of May 7th. Any,
And this can be done by unanimous consent.
right. So unless there's an objection or discussion, then we're good to go. And no public comments, Scott? No. Okay, and that's been carried.
all right.
Okay. And you started us out, Sherry, and it looked like you're gonna, I guess, well, this is just a report for our information. Any thoughts or comments on the report? Okay, I have none. All right. No written communications? And no other informational material? Very good. All right, then we can adjourn unless we have to assume unanimous consent, right?
There's one thing that I just want to, as a director report related issue.
Okay,
So we had a board meeting a couple of weeks ago, which I did not attend. And I want to apologize to the staff and Mark for not attending. That I made a mistake where I responded to a poll saying I could be there on the Wednesday, when in fact I could not be there. I was going too fast through my emails and calendar and said yes when I should have said no. I thought I had said no. And when I got this email saying, oh, we have 4 out of 5 people who could attend, I thought, oh, those other four board members are all good. I'm the one who can't attend. Totally misunderstood and didn't show up, and people wasted their evening. And I apologize for that. And I'll just want to let you know that I'm going to slow down and read my emails more closely and try not to screw up like that. So, thank you.
thank you
That's all I
very
got.
much. Thank you. All right. Okay, well, thanks, everybody, for the evening, your time. So I guess we are now adjourned.
We are indeed.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Have a good night.